All right. We are now actively recording, and I think we are officially saying welcome to Coffee and Conversation. Welcome, welcome,
Welcome.
welcome. I would say welcome back.
Welcome back.
How about that? Welcome back. Welcome
Welcome
us
back.
back. I know that it has been a while since we have gone live and been able to kind of hit some of these topics. But guess what? Coffee and Conversation, we are still that space
Yes,
where you
that's
will get real talk about healing, faith, and even the messy parts in the middle. We are still that space. And so, again, for those who are going to be new to the page and those who already know us, my name is Angela Wheatley, and I am your local real estate agent here in Houston, Texas. So, if you are looking to buy, sell, invest, if you're looking in the real estate realm, I am your girl. If you got questions, holla at your girl. And I'm also a certified recovery coach, life coach, and Christian counselor. As you can see, all things I do is people. I'm in the people helping business. So if I can help you, holla at your girl. Now I'm gonna be quiet for a minute. I'm gonna slow this train down, and I'm gonna let Angela Hendricks jump on in here and introduce herself.
but hey. I am Angela Hendricks. I am the other part of the Angelas, as we've been called. And I am a licensed professional counselor. And as Angela said, we are the ones who will hit those messy topics, some of those things that people don't like to talk about. But I have been in the profession for over 20 years. And as Angela said, as a licensed professional counselor, we don't just talk about it, we be about it. Some of the things that we talk about in this platform are things not that we've heard about, there's things that we've lived out, things that God has delivered us from. So it's not that we
That
are
part.
talking at you, we're talking with you. And so we are here
Come
to
on.
help you, to motivate you, to walk you through the journeys that we've already walked through. So if you need that motivation, if you need that extra push, we your girls.
That's it. That's it. We are your girls. So we're gonna dive right on into this, and we just gonna hit the ground running. But hold up. Let me back that thing up. What you say, girl? Back that thing up. Look at you. Look at where your mind went. I'm talking about rewind. Rewind the conversation. I'm
Yes,
gonna rewind and go back before before we dive in. I want to take a moment to let you know what the topic is that we're talking about today before we dive into the topic. So today's topic is the imposter syndrome, politics
hmm
and trauma. The
yes,
imposter syndrome, politics and trauma. I think this is a very sufficient topic for today. And so we're just gonna dive into it. And again, before we start just rolling with the conversation, how God has given it to us to kind of to put it out there and present it. Again, like Angela said, it's some of these things that we will talk about. We're not talking at you. We're talking with you. We
yes,
we we like, look, let's talk about it. And while we're
yes,
talking about it, if we say something that resonate with you, you just pick up your coffee cup and you just sip. And
yes,
to let us know that you're sipping, to let us know that something has resonated, we need you to put that in the chat. When you get ready in the chat, we need you to sip. Take a moment, rest with it, and
that's
then
what.
put in that emoji in the chat to let us know that we are on topic, that we are on brand, that we are on your street. That's all. We just want to know, are we talking together here? Because we're not talking at you. We want to make sure we're in a conversation together with you. So
Yes,
so if you will, like, share, and subscribe. That's what we need you to do. Each time one of our videos come across your platforms, like, help us to get the word out there. Like, share, and subscribe, and invite somebody. Share that
yes.
link with somebody to let them know, hey, check out these ladies. So, all right, Angela, you ready to dive on in?
Absolutely. 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 As Angela said, we're going to talk about the imposter syndrome on today. And so, have you ever found yourself, just second guessing who you are, second guessing the calling
Oh,
in your life, second guessing those those things that God has called you to do? Have you ever found yourself just wondering if you even belong? Have you ever
my
found
God.
yourself just say, just wondering, but being able to just to believe in yourself, being confident in yourself? Well, you know what?
Do you see my cup? Do you
Oh,
see my cup?
sip, sip. Let me sip with you. Let me sip with you because
I'm just
that's
gonna
what the
sit with it for
imposter
a minute.
syndrome is all about. That is what one of the things that imposter syndrome is all about. It is when you yourself, no matter what the facts look like, you are still having problems, lacking confidence in the you that you
Mm,
are. The
mm,
imposter syndrome. Talk about that, Angela.
yes. Uh, now, I like that. I like how you start out as the confidence that we're lacking in the you that we are
That we
and
are.
who we are. That's it. Because nobody else can be you but you.
Yes.
And when we lack that confidence, then now we're letting someone, that's just like going to a dance recital. Nobody knows who messed up until you make that face and be like, oh, other than that, we think it's part of the routine.
Right.
So it's not until we lack confidence that others can see where we're lacking. And so the psychology today defines it as one, people who struggle with imposter syndrome believe that they are undeserving of their achievements
Yes.
and the high esteem in which they are in. In fact, the high esteem that they generally are in, they feel that they aren't as competent or intelligent as others might think. And one of the things that stood out to me was those with imposter syndrome, which is not an official diagnosis, are often well accomplished. Most of the time, people who have imposter syndrome, they got the gifts. They have the goods. They are high achieving. You have earned that right to be there, but something in here is making you feel like been there, making us feel like, making me feel like I don't belong here. I don't deserve this. And and then we start to second guess, going back to what you said, second guessing, doubting everything about ourselves. And so that is the imposter syndrome. And so we'll be on the road oh no, I'm jumping to another thought here.
Well,
We'll
Angela,
talk
let
about
me,
being huh? Go ahead.
and I was going to say, Angela, and with that, in our minds, we convince ourselves that it's just a fluke. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that the fact that we are accomplishing these things is just a fluke. It just happened to
Mm-hmm.
happen. Like you just said, you have the goods. You're able and capable of doing these things. You're gifted
Mm-hmm.
in doing these things, but
Yeah.
you're in your mind, you lack the confidence in yourself, and you convince yourself it's just a fluke. It just
It's
happened to
just a fluke.
happen. I
I
just
can't
happened to fall
duplicate
into
this.
that. I
Yeah.
just, yeah, you convince yourself it's just a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
When all along, God has gifted you to do it.
Yes.
You have the
Yes.
goods. You're fully capable of doing these things, but you're lacking. The evidence is there.
Yeah.
The evidence
The
is
evidence.
there that
I like
you
that.
are capable of doing that. It's all you, all God's gifting to you to do, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not confident.
Yeah.
Something in you, something has happened in you. And we're going to
Mm-hmm.
talk about what that something is that
Mm-hmm.
has caused
Mm-hmm.
you to not be able to believe in yourself.
Absolutely. 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 And so with that, uh I'm going to give some scripture to what you just said. It says in Second Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, it says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind." that's sober, that's sobriety. So if fear didn't come from God, then who it came from? It has to go.
It has to
It
go.
has to go because the imposter syndrome will keep us in this prison, and you become so afraid to move forward. You're so afraid that there's something that's going to be exposed about you. What if they find out that I can't do this? What if they find out that I'm not worthy? What if they find out, well, probably everybody that you think, they're not even one, they're probably not even thinking like that. They're really um, 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 just an honor to even know you, to even know and to be excited about the things that you're doing and ready to celebrate you. But
Hmm.
our mind, our heart is making that imposter syndrome will have you thinking everyone is waiting for the shoe to drop when really you're the only one waiting for
Yes.
the shoe to drop.
Yes. Wondering, oh, they're gonna find out that I'm a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna find out that I'm not as good as they think that I am.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna find out, all that self-doubt, all that external, your external attribution. Oh, I don't clean up as well as they think that I do. Oh, they're
Yeah.
gonna see beyond what I look like on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna see all those things that we put. That's, again, that
Yes.
fear, that fear that we have placed upon ourselves. But let's just said the word of God says that God has not given us the spirit of fear. So I want to ask you a question. When is the last time you, people out here, have minimized your success?
Yes.
When is the last time that you did not feel worthy
Mm.
of the accolades that people have given you? I remember some of those times where people have given me accolades and tell me how well I've done, and all I did was shrink back because I
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel worthy. So I would
Yes.
just shrink back. I would put
Yes.
my, look down because I didn't think that I was worthy.
Yeah.
And so when is the last time that someone gave you an accolade? When's the last time someone gave you an attaboy and you didn't know what to do with that attaboy because you didn't feel worthy of that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you said that one specific time, and you were there, you knew me then. I used to get on. I first started. I was living in Missouri. Really, no one else was really doing it at the time, and I started getting on live once a month, and I would get on live once a month, and I would just share whatever I was studying at that time. I
Mm-hmm.
would just share the word,
Mm-hmm.
and then I started to see my page grow, and then one at that moment I saw it grow up to like between 3,500 to 4,000. Most people would have been excited about that. For whatever reason, I that made me fearful. I stopped getting on. I shut the whole thing down when I saw those numbers because I felt like an imposter. Like, what am I gonna keep? How am I gonna keep this going? Like, but this is what I did. I do now. I love to study the word. I will get in there and I'll just start writing all kind of stuff because of what I'm getting when I'm studying and reading the word. So this is what I naturally do. This is what I genuinely love to do. But now that I got on Facebook and started doing it and people started watching me, all of a sudden I felt like, how can I keep this up? Keep up what? What you already do? But I had to go through that. Like the thing, it just paralyzed me at that moment because I was okay when it was just a little quaint setting of people. But when it looked like it was just getting so big out of what I can't accept and understood, I shut it all down. And I didn't know anything about imposter syndrome. I just know I
Right.
felt undeserving. I started doubting myself, and I do the very same thing now. And it has taken me a long time. I have not quite done it yet, but God has told me over and over again, get back to those moments when I just used to get on, look at the camera. It wasn't for anybody. I wasn't trying to impress anybody. I just got on and I just shared, basically invited you in to my personal private Bible study. And and that made a difference to whoever. it was supposed to go to. And there have been times that he's told me to do it again, but it's still taking me a lot to get on um, to do that again. So not to say that I won't, but I learned about the imposter syndrome, and I was just like, what? I just know I just ran with fear and shut it all down.
And so, and even as you were talking, it made me think about something you had said earlier. We were talking about the imposter syndrome, and you were talking
Mm-hmm.
about the fact that it's not a diagnosable uh, 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 behavioral health diagnoses or sin or disorder, and it is not. But one of the things about it, like when you were just talking about how it was, how when you saw all those numbers and how that was crippling and how it brought fear about onto you and things like that. Even though it's not a diagnosable disorder, because of the way it impacts you or
Yeah.
can impact a person, it can bring about some anxiety. It can bring
Yeah.
about depression because if a person doesn't deal with it, if a person
Yeah.
is not able to manage those emotions that's overtaking them, they
Mm-hmm.
can they can become very anxious. They can have that anxiety. They can have that
Yeah.
depression because they don't know how to deal with those emotions that are now
Mm-hmm.
overtaking them. And so,
Yeah.
thank God that you were able to work through that,
Mm-hmm.
and not have those things. But for a person who's not um, able to, manage those emotions, then there's sometimes that's something that can overtake them. And so, thanks
Yeah.
be to God that we're here to say, hey, if you do find yourself dealing with the imposter syndrome, you find yourself dealing with some of those emotions that you're
Yeah.
struggling with, depression, anxiety, things like that, then again, we're here. Get help.
Exactly.
You talk to someone because
Exactly.
there's help out there.
Yeah. And again, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Pollen, dust, dogs, all of the above. Uh, um,
Texas.
yeah, Texas. And then going back to what you said, as we shared with you before, that we're not talking at you,
Would
we're
love to see
talking
you.
with you,
Yes.
because when I experienced that was a few years ago, in around 2015, 27, around that time, no, 20 2017, 18, 19, around that time, as I was not even looking to grow a page. I didn't even understand all that stuff. But I had, like, again, had no idea about that imposter syndrome, and I just knew I felt undeserving, unworthy. What am I going to do with all these people if it keeps growing? I just really again became very overwhelmed, shut the whole thing down, and knowing that I was, and I felt like an imposter too, because I was struggling. I was taking care of my mom. I was building my real estate business. I was dealing with things in my marriage, and although I wasn't talking about any of those things, I wasn't, like, I was just sharing the word. And again, I felt like an imposter because all these other things were not where I thought they should have been. Like, being a caregiver is very stressful. And so just the stress of all of that. So it can play on you where you don't realize how traumatic something could be in your life. And so we're going to kind of go to that trauma and the root of the lie.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, Angela.
Yeah, and so when you think about the imposter syndrome, it's like where is the root of that? Where does that all come from? And so
Mm-hmm.
and so where do the whole reasoning that I'm able or I struggle with confidence or lack confidence or struggle to believe that I am worthy of something. It really a lot of that comes from childhood. Come from
Mm-hmm.
abandonment, come from issues, from rejection, and not just from
Yeah.
childhood, but even as an adult. Rejection and being an abandonment issues. And if you think about abandonment and rejection, that even comes from divorce. And
Yes.
not just as a
Yes.
child, but as an adult. Things.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you come out of relationships, all those things, come to play when you think about that. Because if I feel like I failed in my marriage or I failed in my relationship, I feel that I begin to lack confidence. Or, well, if I was not able to be successful in that situation, then how can I be successful in another situation? So that then I'm
Yep.
lacking then I lack confidence. If my mother didn't want me, or my parents didn't want me, then how can I be confident that anyone else will want me? Or how can I be confident that I
Yeah.
can do anything else later in life? And so we look at where the root causes of some of this stuff of this imposter syndrome come from, then we have to look at
Mm-hmm.
the emotional abuse. We got to look at criticism,
Yeah.
how we criticize you,
Yes.
neglect, you
Yeah.
know, deep
Yeah.
seated self doubt, you know, things that
Mm-hmm.
make us feel unworthy and unsuccessful. Those are some of the root
Absolutely.
causes of of this imposter syndrome. Those are
Mm-hmm.
just some
Mm-hmm.
some, and but anything that has the root cause, there's so many things that kick off of those roots. So when you just think of rejection, but
Yes.
then how many things kicks off of rejection that can cause
Absolutely.
additional issues in your life that can also play into that imposter syndrome?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because also, like you saying, what the additional things that kick off with the imposter syndrome, the one of the other things that people may be familiar with is when you start to become skeptical and you start questioning everything, even good
Everything.
people come in your life, and you start to question even their intention. Now, yes, we should
Yes.
always have discernment, but sometimes we confuse discernment with suspicion, and we just suspicious about everything. You got good people that come in your life, and I'll share briefly. Again, as you can see, this thing hit home really for me, as God delivered me from the imposter syndrome. But it doesn't mean that they don't want to come back and knock at the door and see if they can come back in. It's gonna knock at the door now. Who, whether how I answer the door and whether I give it access and say, hey, come on back, I missed you, or whether I say, I recognize you, no way, buddy. um but I just remember, and I'm sure you remember the story because we talk about everything, that I remember when it says questioning good people. I remember when I was working in this hospital in New Orleans in the ninth ward. It was a predominantly black hospital. It was like black excellence. It was a showcase for black excellence in New Orleans. The way I saw it. Now I don't know. I was, I was just a 9 to 5 person. So, but I was around all these black doctors. So to me, it was just black excellence. Now I don't know what their Yelp review would have been because we ain't have Yelp then. So, but I remember one of the doctors coming to me. He saw my work. He had a great reputation. Nothing I've never had. He was an older doctor. Never heard anything negative about him. But he came to me and he said, I want, basically, like, he wanted to give me a scholarship, so that I can become a sterile processor. And so he was like, and it will cost you nothing. Like, it's not going to charge you anything. This is what I do when I see hardworking people. And I was so excited. But by the time I got home, I talked myself out of it because I started to start to be skeptic about everything. What is he going to want from me? Now, again, this guy, even to this day, I've never heard anything negative about his reputation. But because I felt undeserving, and I turned it down. That that could have changed early on. Thank God, something else changed my children and our livelihood. But getting away from the minimum wage at that moment, I don't know where that job could have taken me. And
Mm-hmm.
so imposter syndrome can also cause you to miss opportunities because you're so skeptical. You're so like questioning yourself, questioning others, but it's not coming from a healthy place. And so that is one of the things that I wanted to share. Anything that when you think about the imposter syndrome, that you say, you know what? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I've
I
had my
just
issue.
Oh yeah, I absolutely have had. You know what? I was studying for this, and I'm just gonna have a transparent moment and say, but because I told you earlier, I'm a therapist, so I've kicked the word, I've kicked that terminology around before, imposter syndrome. So I've heard it, you know, many times over, and so, but I until I was digging into it for this, I really had not viewed it in this way until so when I was studying for it, I was like, oh Lord, oh my God. I really had thought it to be something else. So when I was studying for it, I was like, oh God, that's me. Oh God, that's really me. So, because when God had delivered me, from that whole spirit of rejection and had told me and
Mm-hmm.
showed me in that and some of those kickoffs, different things from that, so I had, been accepting of that. But then when I was reading about this whole imposter syndrome, and I was like, wait a minute now, God,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you hadn't shown me all that. And so when I started
Yeah.
reading and I started seeing that self doubt and that perceived fraudulence and fear of exposure, I'm like, well, Lord, you are really showing out here because those are some things that the terminology of what they were might not have been
Yeah.
what came to mind when I was experiencing them, but they
Mm-hmm.
absolutely were experiences that I had experienced. Just
Yeah.
simply the fact that self doubt. I mean, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I can't even count the number of times prior to my deliverance, dealing with
Mm-hmm.
self doubt. And even now, as you said earlier, how those things come knocking back at your door, but it's how I answer and how I
Yeah.
respond as to whether or not I will
Mm-hmm.
allow that to uh, be a part of my life again, and I shall not.
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
but just the self doubt, and whether or not I will deal with those, whether or not I will be a person that I would say, oh, I can't do this because I'm not worthy of it, or I
Yeah.
can't do this because I'm not competent enough. Because the
Mm-hmm.
enemy had me believing for so many years that I just wasn't competent. Even
Yeah.
even as a therapist, I've been a therapist for years, but he would tell me that I wasn't a competent therapist. You're like, wait a minute, I've been doing this for all these years, but I'm not competent. And so I was afraid to do stuff in the field that I've been working in for years because
Mm-hmm.
he was trying to convince me that I wasn't competent in doing what I know that I was competent to do. No,
Yeah.
I'm not just competent, I'm more than competent. And so I had to tell myself that
Exactly.
no, I'm not just competent, I'm more than competent. I had to move outside of that
More than
imposter syndrome and tell myself,
that's it.
no,
That's
you're
it.
not just competent, you're more than competent. And I just had to do that just recently
That's it.
because this imposter syndrome
Mm-hmm.
was knocking on my door, and I didn't even know it was knocking there.
Trying to knock on your door again. It's
It
knocking
was,
on the
and
door
I
and
didn't even
say,
know it.
hello, anybody home? Anybody
Yes,
home? Yes, the Holy Ghost. Thank
yes.
you.
And
You're like,
so as
you're
you
like
was
he's
talking,
answering my door.
yes, and as you was talking, and I was talking, I thought about the scripture that in the thing that we were discussing with the scripture that said that in Jeremiah 1:5 it said before I formed you in the womb, I knew you.
Yes.
Before you
Yes.
born, I set you apart. He set us apart
He said
already.
those four. That's right.
Already before we were formed, he already set us apart. So I
Mm-hmm.
was already competent as a therapist before I was even formed. I was already set
Yeah.
apart to do this
To do this
before
work.
I was even
That's right.
formed. You were already set apart to do excellent things in the realm of which He's called you to do. Before you even
Yeah.
formed, you already set apart to do excellent things already. And so I'm just grateful for this topic because it has, I mean, it has set a fire ablaze upon me, and I'm just grateful because God is just showing me who the me I am.
That's
I,
it. That's it.
who the me I
That's what I
am. Who the
said. I
me
was
I
like,
am.
I, I was like, this was definitely a refresher. Like, okay, in
Yes.
case you forgot, and in
Right.
case you did not remember,
Mm-hmm.
and Angela, in case you is tripping and slipping, let me remind you because one thing I just said, God, I don't want to forfeit again what you have
Yes.
placed in my hands to do. I don't
Yes.
want to wait and miss. I thank God for grace, but I know that that's not what we should always be relying on. It's the perfect
Mm-hmm.
will of God if you just do what He tell you to do when He tell you to do it. And so I was like, I don't want to keep waiting till the next season come back around because seasons are not like the seasons that we have winter, fall, spring. It don't come
Yes.
around like this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, December is coming back around. No, we don't know the time and when that season is going to come back around. And I don't want to be sitting around for another 10, 15 years for another opportunity. So now, you know what? Let me take a sip. hmm I had to sit on that because that was good even as I was saying it. So that the time is now. This is the season.
Now.
The season is now for
Now.
us to do what God has called us to do
Yes.
and to get and to go ahead and surrender, allow God to heal and to deliver and to set us
Yes.
free so we won't keep going through the rudimentary thing of
Yes.
rejection and constantly dealing with, ooh, somebody don't like me, and what if they don't like this, and then now not even the outside rejection, not a self rejection, I don't like me, I don't like this the way I sound. I, I don't like all these things about myself. Guess what? I'm over it because
Over it.
everybody who anybody that I'm tripping on, I don't talk to umpteen thousand people because I always be like, I don't like the way I sound. Well, guess what? You done been here 50 years sounding the same way. It ain't finna change. You're 55, girl. This is it. Get over it and get your butt in front of that camera and do what you're supposed to do. Get over it. I don't like the way I look. I wish my hair and I wish my hair is gray and it's dry. Okay, guess what? I might be ahead of a few people, but if you live long enough, you're gonna catch me too on this gray end. And maybe not. You might be blessed to have black hair all your life. Go right ahead. Or you might have some good money where you just gonna keep on paying all the rent stuff. However you work it. However you work it. But I'm not tripping on the gray no more. I'm not tripping on the sound of all that. Over it. With it.
Over
So it
it.
took a minute. As I say, I talk with you and not to you and not at you. It took a minute. I didn't wake up like this. I didn't wake up like this. It's and so that's what we want to do. We want to walk with people. We want to have these conversations so
Yes.
that it can help you not to waste time and miss seasons that God is
Yes.
calling you to a thing, is God is calling you to whatever it is. It may be in the forefront, it may be in the background, whatever it is. Will you do it knowing that you are not an imposter, but you are his handiwork, you are his
Yes.
craftsmanship, you're the one that he is called to do, you're the one who got the fingerprint that nobody else have, you're the one that he said you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you are his masterpiece.
Yes.
Can you do it and be in whatever space he's called you to do what he's called you to do? One,
Yes.
many of us have educated ourselves. We have gone and you done got the degree. You degreed up. You all those things, and you
Yep.
still dealing with imposter syndrome. You're still dealing with I don't deserve it, dude. You don't went all the way through the doctor school, whatever what they call it. You don't went all the way
Doctoral
through.
program.
Uh-huh.
Doctoral
Yeah,
program.
that part. You done did all of that. And the enemy was still having you feel like you don't deserve it.
Yes.
Man, you don't want to stayed up all night and missed all these social functionings and all these things. And the enemy still got you saying you don't deserve it. Man, kick rocks, devil. Kick rocks. Limited belief. Kick rocks. Get on up out of here. That's how we gotta start saying it. For
That's
real.
exactly how.
kick rocks in the name of Jesus. And
In
I
the name
plead
of
the blood
Jesus.
on the rock that I throw. I plead the rock of Jesus. I just kick it at you right now in the name of Jesus. Come, get on up out of here. In fact, when I throw this rock, it's Jesus, right at you. Doggone it. Tired of this stuff. I ain't going back. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about the pressure of the public eye. The pressure of the public eye. Because we done already told the devil kick rocks. In fact, we threw the rock of Jesus in it. Like,
Yes.
get on. So, and being that you are, as you know, you are a clinician. So when you have in this space, we have the opportunity where we can freely bring the word, use the word of God at issues to help people know. Because I love the fact that we are able to let people know you can include your faith along your healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
It does not have to be
Yes.
excluded in two different things. You can
Yes.
have Jesus and a therapist.
Yes, you
I
can.
always say they're not co-equal. Yes, they're not equal because Jesus, there's no equal and there's no rival. But
Nope.
they can work together and
You can
and
coexist.
allow you. They can coexist. There you go. This is the word I'm looking for. They can coexist, and there you go. I mean, he's the one who gave counselors the wisdom to go to school, the ability to finish, even if they don't even acknowledge it. But there's some that do, and there's some they wait somewhere else. But anyway, they mind just they somewhere else. But so, but thank God you are one who is who you're a counselor, you're Christian, and you believe and you understand the power of those
Yes.
coexisting, where you don't have to negate your faith as you're on this mental healing journey, and you don't have to just see everything spiritually when there
Right.
may be some medical need. And in this climate with the public eye, sometimes people don't go get the help that they need because of the public eye, because of how they think others are going to feel about it. One, who
Yes.
knows that you're going to see a therapist unless you tell them? But that's neither here nor there. Go ahead.
That's true. That's true. So,
Yeah.
well, are we transitioning to tools, being practical and tools?
We're gonna transition to it because I just my mind. We're gonna go to the pressure of the public eye when we kind of talk about how the imposter syndrome looks as we look at it in this climate. We know that we are in a divisive climate. We are in it just feel like a boiling pot. No matter which way you go, which way you
Yeah.
turn, it can feel like a boiling pot. Like something
Yeah.
is like the pressure cooker.
It is. It can. It really can. It can feel like a pressure cooker because one of the reasons why it feels like a pressure cooker is because the pressure that we place upon ourselves. We place so much
Mm-hmm.
pressure upon ourselves because for whatever reason. Okay, one of the things that we've said previously is that we we want to that is because we feel like that because we lack confidence and because we feel that we are not competent. And so because we feel that we're not
Mm-hmm.
competent, we continue to try to get into a space that we don't really need to be in. So we
Mm-hmm.
try to find ourselves or place ourselves in positions or in spaces with other people just to try to earn their or gain their acceptance. And so in
Yeah.
gaining, in trying to gain their acceptance, then that's where a lot of times where we hurt ourselves, because then in doing that, that's where we're fighting our own selves because we're feeling like we're not confident, we're not feeling like we're not competent, and then we're not confident in our own selves. But at the same time,
Yeah.
we want to be accepted by that group, And so now
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I feel like I'm not accepted by that group, but I want to be accepted by that group, but I'm not confident that in what I'm doing or what I'm saying. And so I feel like I'm not competent in what I'm doing. And so
Mm-hmm.
now I'm in this boiling pot because now I'm trying to make, I want to make myself look good. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I feel like that they're going to see through me. They're going to see
Yes.
through the fact that I'm not who I say that I am, or I can't do
Mm-hmm.
what I say that I can do. And so I'm this
Mm-hmm.
fraudulent person. And so now I have this thing that I have to live up to and that I can't live up to because I'm not confident in it. And so then that's when we and so then that's when we that whole depression anxiety situation comes up. And so that's when we put ourselves in really a really horrible a really tumultuous situation. and
Mm-hmm.
and although, again, as although that and the imposter syndrome is not a mental health diagnosable mental health disorder, we really start pushing ourselves to a place where we need possibly some mental health, um, some behavioral health interventions because we are
Yeah.
now um, have anxiety because we're anxious because we have all these racing thoughts because we're trying to um, get people to like us. We trying to live up to
Yeah.
the expectations of everyone else. We're trying to live up to the expectations of our own self that we feel like we can't live up to the expectations of, and then we're
Mm-hmm.
depressed, and then so there's so much going on internally that we
Yes.
are we just haven't so um, so because of that that's what we so the end state a lot of times is behavioral health. And so, but again,
Mm-hmm.
all is not lost
Yeah.
because, as Angela was saying, behavioral health and God can coexist because you can go to the
Mm-hmm.
Father for help because He's always there for you.
Yes.
At the same time,
Yes.
you can go to someone, you can go to a behavioral health provider and you could talk it out and they can
Mm-hmm.
help you work it out. And that whole imposter
Yes.
syndrome situation, they can help you identify where you have went left when you could have went right. They can help you
Yeah.
identify where it is where you got stuck at that stuck point that you got where you were a child, a
Mm-hmm.
teen, or an adult, and they can help you to get unstuck.
That's right.
And if it's
Right.
medication
And
that you need, they can give you some. They can give you a referral to someone that can help you to get some medications. You don't. All is
exactly.
not lost. All is not
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
Just because you
Absolutely.
have dealt with it, just because you're dealing with the imposter syndrome, there's still help out there. And again,
Absolutely.
Angela is a certified, what is it called? Behavioral health coach or behavioral health. Tell me what it's called again, Angela. A
My
certified,
certified recovery coach and Christian counselor.
yeah.
So yeah.
So and I'm a licensed professional counselor, and so we are here. And so even when we're not on this live, you can always
Mm-hmm.
inbox us.
Yeah.
You can always inbox us and ask us for help because we will
Yes.
answer. This is man. Angela mans this. This is man 24 hours a day. She will,
Mm-hmm.
and we will contact you, and we will give you.
Yeah.
We will put you into contact with someone in your local
That
area
can help.
that could help you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then we're gonna get dive in. We're gonna end it. We're gonna get ready to wrap up, but I do want to talk about the tools for breaking free. And but I want to go back to what you said. Yes, we will make sure that we reach back out to you if someone reaches out to us, as well as if you're one of those people and you're saying I want my counselor to be faith based. Whether you can also take a moment to interview your counselors to make sure before you lock into a relationship with the counselor uh, uh, typically on those first appointments where they're getting to know you, then you also have the ability to ask questions and make sure that you guys are aligning. Because my current therapist, like my first therapist, I'm like, what the world? Like, man, you about to you need counseling. How about that? all these demons up in this, and you keep trying to insert into our counseling session, bringing up just crazy stuff. He would just bring up crazy stuff, crazy stuff. I ain't gonna, it was crazy. I was
Angela.
like, yeah, and so I was like, I gotta let you go, bro. I can't have you as a counselor. He was a cool person, but it would just be like these little subtle things that he'll bring into the session. And I was like, you know what? I keep messing around with you. I'm gonna be in hypnosis. I'm gonna be in all kind of stuff. I ain't gonna know what's happening because you subtly inserting these things that I'm telling you. I'm talking about my faith. I want to be able to freely talk about my faith and not feel like you're all of a sudden offended and I got to address the talk about the church and whatever your issues are with the church. But now I have a counselor and I'm able to incorporate my conversation. If I want to bring in and tell her some things I feel like God impressed upon my heart, or I feel like God has is leading me in a certain direction, she don't ignore it because I can tell when you kind of dismissing me. You may not say anything, but I can tell you kind of dismissing me as if, okay, let's skip over that. She talking about God is leading her somewhere, and if you don't really believe that, you can be dismissive and not realize that person
Mhm.
if they can pick up on that. And so I don't get that from her. I know that she don't really share much about her faith, but I can tell she's a Christian too. There's certain things that she'll put in and say, but she also leaves it up for me to talk. So she don't insert too much, although she can, because y'all can share like an example or something like that. So,
Once you open the
but
door.
she'll let me. Yeah. Once I open the door, she can basically kick that sucker in and talk about God all she wants. But I see she'll pull back a little. But I just have the freedom to incorporate and be all of me in my sessions, and that's how I feel. Like I can be all of me in my sessions, and I don't have to be like, well, I can tell they don't really like talking about God, so I won't say anything. No, this is my session, and we're gonna talk about it. I feel like I had that dream in A, B, C, and D. Now, whether you believe it or not, but we're gonna talk about it because I want to talk about this dream and what I got my impression from. So let me go back. We're gonna go to the because I have an experience. I'm bringing you in. I want to share the experience with you, so I'm gonna bring you in and let you know what I just experienced. But nevertheless, let's move on. We're gonna talk about the two. For those who are new to the page, as you can tell, Angela Hendricks is more the calmer one. She's calmer, just so girly and dainty, just sweet as pudding. And then me, however, I'll
Passionate.
come just passionate.
Passionate.
I That's it, passion. I want you to feel what I'm feeling, sense what I'm sensing. I need you to understand what I'm saying. I'm yeah. So let's go to the 4 tools for breaking free. Brother, he up, huh? So let's go to the 4 tools of breaking free. Angela,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll share the first one. The number one tool is name the lie. When those thoughts rise up, don't entertain them, expose
Mm-hmm.
them. So the first thing is you have to recognize and name the lie. When that
Right.
lie comes up and tells you don't deserve it, you're unworthy, you are an imposter, you don't belong here. If you
Right.
know that you did not cheat your way to this position, you belong there. Because the people who cheat their way to it, they be standing up tall, I mean, chest wide open, like, I'm here. But the one who done worked hard for, we struggling. What? What the world? You done worked hard. You have done everything. You have more aptitude. You have done all these things, and you're feeling like the imposter. And the one that done cheated and skirted their way through, they standing there chest out wide, 10 toes down, cannot be moved. But we ain't gonna compare. We ain't gonna compare. But we have to expose the lie. You have to expose the lie, name the lie. Yeah, don't compare yourself to the cheater. Don't do that. There's a scripture in the Bible that tells us don't do that. Somewhere in Psalms, when God be telling you, don't be looking at the people who doing wrong. Well, he say it all the time in Psalms, like stop looking at the people who doing wrong. Cause you be like, Lord, look at them. They got it all and they doing all wrong. Look at them. He said, I need you to stop comparing yourself to them. I need you to stop that. So yeah. So yeah, skip that example that I gave about the cheater. But nevertheless, name the lie. Angela, number two.
Number two, speak life over yourself. One of my favorite things, creating affirmations. Man,
Yes.
you could um, create affirmations regarding your situations, regarding your situation. Uh, is just, I mean, it, just telling yourself, I belong here. I belong here.
Mm-hmm.
I belong here. I am competent. I,
Yeah.
I, I worked my, just like you said, I worked my way to get here.
Yeah.
I've, I, you can, you know, speak life, speak life to your situation, speak life over you, speak life over you, speak, affirm who
Mm-hmm.
you are. I am Angela
Yes.
Hendricks. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am made in the image of God. I am competent. I am confident. I have the
You
mind of
better say it.
Christ. I can do any and all things through Christ who
I need to
strengthens
sip on
me.
that.
I could,
I am
yes,
competent and confident.
yes. Speak life over you and over your situation. Affirm yourself. I love affirmations.
Yeah.
And you don't have to stop with just affirming yourself in that situation. You could affirm yourself in any situation. Just affirm yourself daily
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
life. Look at yourself in the mirror every morning and tell yourself that you're going to have a great day. Today's going to be a great day. There's nothing that's
Mm-hmm.
going to there's nothing that's going to happen today that God can't bring me through. There's nothing that's going
Exactly.
to happen today that God won't make a way through. Today's going to be a great
Yeah.
day. Yesterday's gone. I don't have to worry about anything negative that happened yesterday because today's going to be a great day. Affirm yourself every
Absolutely.
day. Look in the mirror and
Yes.
affirm yourself. I
Yes.
love
I love that.
affirmations.
Yes. And the third thing, I said four, but I have three. My bad. Three things to break free. Community. Stay in community. Many times when we're going through and you're feeling like an imposter, then you want to isolate because you don't want to, because you're feeling like a fraud. You're feeling like you're about to be exposed. Exposed to what? How awesome you are, how great you are. So you start to isolate yourself and you start to separate yourself. Now I like to say there is a time in a season where God will separate you and set you apart for Himself.
Hmm.
But if you find yourself isolating yourself and just getting away from everyone because you're trying to hide, that's different. When God is
Yes.
calling us to isolate and to separate, you know that He's calling you to be alone with Him, and those are two totally different things. So now you have to check your heart posture. You have to check, why am I separating from everything? Why am I isolating myself? Is this God calling me unto Himself to spend time with Him, to get closer to Him, or am I hiding out because I feel like I'm a fraud? I feel like everything I've worked for, I don't belong here. Is this the imposter syndrome that's telling me I do not deserve to be here, and I'm second guessing and doubting everything about myself? Then that's the imposter syndrome, and that's the time that you need to stay connected, stay in community, stay around those who you know got your best interests at heart. And God has people in our lives that have our best interests in heart, and many
Yes.
times we can miss it because we're so busy trying to be accepted by the crew over here that we're missing who really does does accept us for who we are.
Yes.
And when you start to celebrate those who are there and stop trying to fight your way into who's not there, who don't see your value, who don't see your worth, like you talked about earlier, and celebrate those who do see who you are.
Yes. And
Celebrate with them. Enjoy you, enjoy them. And so the imposter syndrome, it will isolate you, but it's important to stay in community, the right communities that got that this is what is encouraging me, this is what is strengthening me. Now I'm not one that's always on that, ooh, everything gotta be positive, oh God forbid if you say something I don't like. No, that doesn't mean your community is not going to call you to the carpet on some things. That doesn't mean your community is going to be like, oh, we just all vibe. Sometimes some things, hard conversations have to be had. It does not mean it's not a good community. It does not mean that person does not have your best interest at heart. So I do like to balance out, because sometimes we think
yes.
community, everything is always supposed to vibe. Everything is a vibe. Well, sometimes some hard truth have to happen. And if you got real community, real people in your life, they're gonna come to you and they're gonna have some conversations, and vice versa. Same with you. But in the end, I know that when my people come to me, I know they got my best interest at heart, and they know me. I heard what you said, but I ain't trying to hear that right now. I'll come back to you later. But right now, I don't like what you said. I don't like what you said. I might not like how you said it. I might not like none of it. I don't like it. But because I know you love me, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna gather myself, and then I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it together. Now that is a true fact, is it, Angela? Or
That
am
is a
I
true fact.
exaggerating?
And you have to
Okay.
think about that. Who in your life will speak life back to you? It's if you find that you speaking life all the time and nobody's speaking life back to you, you got to be
Mm-hmm.
careful with that. Because it's okay to
Yeah.
speak life to others, but you have to have people in your life that's speaking life back to you. That's
Yeah.
important. It's
Yeah.
really important. You know, because somebody you have to. You can't always be poor. You can't always be pouring
Mm-hmm.
and pouring and pouring, because after you pour so much and no one's pouring back, then you pour from an empty cup. And
Yeah.
so you have to be. Somebody has to be pouring back into you to let you know that you got worth as well. You know, I could pour into, I
Exactly.
could pour and let you know that you have worth, but at some point, I need somebody to pour in and let me know that, hey, girl, you got worth
I
too.
You got work too. Yes.
Yeah, you gotta let me
That's
know that I
it.
got some worth too. And so, I can't just keep pouring and eventually, because eventually I'll be pouring from an empty cup. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so you need to make sure that you have people that's pouring back into you as well as you pouring into them. Kind of like Angela was saying. And it won't always just be, pouring in back and forth for work, but also it's some hard conversations. They do have to happen every now and then, because I've been having
Mm-hmm.
some hard conversations happen in my life every now and then. Some, I don't know, but anyway, because some people don't mind give me hard conversations. They don't want to hear what I got to say about them, but they're hard conversations. But they don't mind telling me about myself. I'm not gonna say who. I'm not gonna say who. I ain't gonna say who.
I do listen.
I ain't
I
gonna say
do
who. I
listen.
don't, but anyway, but
I
anyway,
do listen.
but if you don't have those people in your
I
life,
I listen
you,
a day later. I listen, I receive and process a day later.
a day
It's
later,
listening,
listening,
time to
process a
process.
day later or two. hmm But seriously, it,
Yeah.
but if no one comes to mind that is pouring back into you, it's time to find your healing circle. You
Yeah,
ain't got to have a
absolutely.
whole heap of people, because I don't do a whole heap of people either myself. I
Mm-mm,
I, I,
mm-mm.
I never have. God, I got it
Yeah.
took me a while to learn that, and unfortunately, my baby, my daughter, she's still having trouble with that, and hopefully she'll watch this, because she's having trouble still,
She'll
learning
get
that.
it. Yeah.
I've never had a whole heap of people. God has never allowed that to be my thing. So you ain't got to have a whole lot
Absolutely.
of people. but you do need to have those one
I
or
hear
two
them say.
few that God places in your
Exactly.
life to be there for you, to be
Yeah.
your that's that. And you know, because when Angela used the word community, community don't mean they don't have to mean no big high ginormous circle. That
Mm-mm.
just means
Mm-mm.
your few. So you know, whatever
Yeah.
your few that God
Your
gives
feet.
you, that's all you need.
That's
Because
it.
them the ones
That's
that
all you
gonna have
need.
your back regardless. They're gonna have your back
That's it.
regardless.
That's it.
They're gonna pour into you when you need
Well,
it. They're gonna correct you when you need it, and they're gonna be there for you, regardless.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I have for you. I'm just saying.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's
Well, that's some good stuff as we get ready to kind of close out. We get into that one to that hour. So we just want to leave you with this: that one, you are not an imposter.
you're
You are
not.
living proof that God restores, redeems, and reassigns.
Yes,
You
God.
are living proof that God restores, redeem, and reassign. And so now you walk in that. You begin to walk in that and know that you have purpose. God has
Continue
purpose.
on.
Continue on. So until next time, we want you to make sure you again go out, like, share, and subscribe. And we want to make sure that you're here, and we want to keep you. We want to keep sipping the truth. Keep sipping the truth.
And
Uh-huh.
join us next month on the
Yes,
road.
on the road. Because next month
We're on the
we
road
got an
next month.
awesome guest, and we're gonna be on the road with this show. It's gonna be live and on the road. See you next month.